Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first COVID-19 town hall for prospective students and their family members. Earlier, we had a town hall for our students. Currently, we had town hall for families, and we had a town hall for our faculty and staff. We'll continue to have town halls during the summer for students and faculty and staff. So I want to give you just a quick overview of what we're going to be doing this afternoon. First, what we'll have is about an hour for our discussion. We'll spend about a half of that hearing from different perspectives from our campus. We want to spend most of our time, however, listening to your questions. We've had a number that have come in ahead of time, and in a moment, I will tell you how to send additional questions that we want to be able to answer live as we go through the afternoon. We're really pleased to have you joining us, and we know that we've got over 400 people already on this, and we expect more to join us. For the question and answer period this afternoon, we're going to be joined by our provost, for the first part of the town hall, we'll be joined by our vice provost for student success, Dave Clark, and then our director of student success, Kay Eilers, and our dean of students, Adam Jussel. So we're going to show you their pictures and put names with the faces. So this is our Vice Provost for Student Success, Dave Clark. Thanks, Dave. This is our Director of Student Success, Kay Eilers. Thanks, Kay. And our Dean of Students, Adam Jussel. Thanks, Adam. Great, thanks everybody. Now, for the question and answer, we'll not only have those panelists who we just heard from, but we'll also have our Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Johannes Britz, our Campus Health Officer, Dr. Julie Bonner, and our Financial Aid Director, Tim Opgenorth. So we'll show you their faces so we can put their names and faces together as well. There's our Provost, Johannes Britz. There's our Medical Director, Dr. Julie Bonner. And our Director of Financial Aid, Tim Opgenorth. Great, thank you everybody. So as we've been preparing for this event, we've asked for your questions. Many of you have submitted questions, which is great, and I invite you to continue sharing those questions by sending them to uwm-townhall@uwm.edu. Once again, that website is, the link that you'd send them to is uwm-townhall@uwm.edu. And we'll be watching for those, and those will be fed into the chat room live as we go to the question and answer. We'll answer as many questions as possible during the session here. We'll also be posting FAQs. We have been receiving over the last 10 weeks, over 1,400 different questions that we've already answered in the FAQs. Many of those questions that you might have will be addressed, and I encourage you to stay in touch with that. That link is uwm.edu/coronavirus. Once again, the link to those FAQs, in addition to the questions that you'll be asking, how they'll be answered, will be at this link, uwm.edu/coronavirus. So before I share any updates, I want to express my thanks and patience for all that you've done. The world is quite a bit different than it was even in early March. Our lives have been disrupted, work has been disrupted, your home and family lives, very different behaviors, very different activities. We know that in Wisconsin, that we've, as of yesterday, had many, many more things opened up, and it's wonderful. We fully expect to be as open as safely possible this fall, face-to-face and online in a variety of ways that you'll hear about today. But I want you to know we're very much looking forward to having you on campus and make sure that we can answer any questions that you have. We know that there's a lot of different questions that are out there, a lot of answers we've been working on with a lot of different individuals. To give you a flavor of that, I want you to know that we have been having over 100 people working in 11 different teams vigorously every day around the clock to really try to determine what's the best way to bring you back to campus, what's the best way to have you on campus, including our faculty and staff, as well as, of course, our students. I want you to know the underlying care the underlying sense of safety and health that pervades everything that we do. I have served on this campus for over 31 years, the last 6 as the chancellor, and I'm really proud of what we do. I'm so proud that my son attended UWM, received 2 degrees, and I can speak as a parent. I can speak as somebody who knows the faculty and staff quality and fundamentally how much we care about student success. When we think about what we're doing, what really drives and pervades so many of our activities is that of care, that of creating a culture of care and support, especially in a time like this. We have been very much involved, as you can imagine, over the last several months, engaged with how we've moved instruction into a very different mode. We have 20 years of great experience online. We have 11,000 students that have been participating in classes online. We've received a number of national awards. We have highly ranked programs. We also know the interaction from face-to-face activity is hard to replicate, and that's why we're so interested in having our face-to-face activities, where you can experience housing, have on-campus employment, think about the different ways that you connect with each other. We have shifted in a number of ways, and I want you to know that we have 3 different campuses. We have the main campus in Milwaukee, we've got the UWM at Waukesha, and the UWM at Washington County campuses. Each of those campuses are actually regulated by different municipalities, different counties that do provide oversight and guidance, particularly around some of the health issues that we'll be dealing with. We have been planning through a number of different scenario groups, different ways of looking at coming back in a number of frame areas that we call the TTSIP framework. And that just rolls right off the tongue now. We've been saying it a long time, but let's talk about what it means. First T is around testing. And the thinking would be, for individuals who are symptomatic, what are the procedures that we would have in place? And the second T is around tracing. What would happen in terms of how we can do contact tracing and make sure we have a good sense of the interactions that that person has had, and how do we then move into some of the S, separation, or I, isolation, and P, or protection. So again, testing, tracing, separation, isolation, and protection. So that's a framework that we're using as we create a very safe environment to the extent that we can. There's going to be some specific questions that we could go through in each area as you get into question and answers and want to know more about what we're doing around social distancing, safe behaviors. We would share more of that with you today. So I want you to know our philosophy, how much we care about you, what we want to do to provide a safe face-to-face activity to the extent that we can and is reasonable. But at the same time, we know some of you will have concerns, and some of you as family members will have concerns. So we're going to have different modalities. Some people will want to be online, some people will want to be face-to-face, and we want to have flexibility with reason as we go forward with this. I also want you to know that we're not alone. We're like many other campuses that are trying to sort these issues out, and we will have many further updates and much communication as we learn and know more. We'll talk today about our time frame for some of the decisions and the communication. In that regard, what I'd like to do is hand this over now to our Vice Provost for Student Success, Dave Clark. He'll provide many more details on the academic side of things. Dave?
Thank you, Chancellor Mone. We will be face-to-face this fall, as much as we safely can be. But because no one knows for sure what the public health conditions will be, we're planning for multiple scenarios. We know from surveys that we've conducted with our existing student population that many of our students want face-to-face courses. We also have a substantial population who say they would feel safer remaining online. So in our planning, we're working to offer students choices, including socially distanced face-to-face experiences, hybrid options, and online-only offerings, so that they can be safe while also having top-notch educational experiences. If conditions change, we'll also be willing and able to adapt and offer students flexible options while maintaining high levels of quality. UWM is the best place in Wisconsin to be for this kind of creative thinking. We have 20 years of experience in leadership and online education, and our Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning has implemented an action plan to train our faculty to provide the best learning opportunities no matter what the venue. We're going to be spending our summer very busily figuring out how we're going to be adaptable and flexible to all the different scenarios in front of us. Our great services and support will be available face-to-face, but if students prefer, they will have choices for those as well. Because of our long history of teaching online, our students will have lots of options in accessing services and support. Our writing center, supplemental instruction, tutoring, libraries, and experiential learning opportunities. We have a lot of experience providing those in both online and hybrid settings. And we've, this spring built out new opportunities for students to engage online. Such as our virtual student union. Tuition. While final approval of tuition rates will come at the Board of Regents meeting in June, tuition for the 2020-2021 school year is not expected to increase for most UW-Milwaukee students. That includes undergraduate students from Wisconsin and the surrounding states that are part of the Midwest Student Exchange Program, which is Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, a number of other states. Segregated fees and technology fees are currently under review because we'll be making sure that we're aligning the levels of those fees with the services that we are able to provide to students. We don't anticipate increases. This summer, we actually decreased fees. More information about segregated fees and technology fees will be available in July. And finally, I'd invite you to check us out. This summer, we're going to be running a large-scale free course called Milwaukee, Past, Present, and Future to show the world our expertise and our teaching platforms and the ways that we're able to teach in creative and innovative fashions across multiple types of platforms and pedagogies. Watch your email for more information. We're excited to share that with you. Finally, if you'd like to visit our campus virtually and you've not yet had an opportunity to do so, please visit our undergraduate admissions page at uwm.edu/undergrad-admission/visit. We have lots of virtual opportunities for you. Thank you. Now,
Dave, you covered some great details. I really appreciate that comprehensive review. I think you began to answer some of the questions that are out there. As our Student Success Vice Provost just outlined, there's a lot of considerations that we're going through. But one thing I want to stress, what's most important is our commitment to student success is unwavering. We will continue to stress that throughout, as well as looking at safety. We think it's a significant responsibility to maintain the academic and research continuity and to continue to provide the opportunities that we do through all the remarkable educational activities that we support. Now, with more detail on some of those areas and initiatives, we have the director of our Student Success Center, Kay Eilers, who also serves as the co-lead for our enrollment management. So she and Dave, who you just heard from, are really amazingly effective in terms of what they do to help provide support across a lot of different areas. Kay.
Thank you, Chancellor Mone. So as the Chancellor and Vice Provost Clark mentioned, we as a campus are continuing to examine a variety of scenarios for fall. So it's certain that this fall will be a fall like no other that we've experienced to date. So while the way that we're using our physical classrooms and spaces may look a little bit different, our focus on student success and the variety of supports and opportunities that we provide in those spaces will be business as usual. So UWM really has long prided ourselves on a variety of different engagement opportunities available for students as they're transitioning into our campus community and as they continue to flourish through their academic careers. All of these have a variety of different delivery methods available so students can access our services in ways that are both convenient and feel safe to meet their needs. So I know Dave already touched on a couple of these, but want to highlight a few of them again. These services and opportunities really have a variety. So specifically, our Writing Center provides outstanding support for all students in their writing needs. Further, our peer tutors within our really impactful supplemental instruction program continue to be available. Both of these programs have long offered online and virtual opportunities and have continued to do so throughout the spring, and I know will not be missing a beat through fall. Further, our Accessibility Resource Center stands ready to support our continuing students as well as our new students joining us, so please reach out to them early and often. Continuing on, the team at the UWM libraries provides and prides itself on supporting our students, our faculty, our staff with outstanding service to those both near and far. So for example, their 24/7 chat for users is a service that's always available and continues to be. So we know that that service will remain as strong as ever. Continuing on, our academic advising team is eager to meet our new incoming students during orientation season, which is kicking off here very shortly. They are dedicated to getting you started strong in your first semester and then marching you toward your degree here at UWM. As we are welcoming new students to campus, I would be remiss if I did not highlight our work of our peer mentors. All incoming students, new freshmen, new transfers will all get connected with a peer mentor. Their work has always been done in a variety of formats, be it face-to-face interactions or virtually over our Teams sites, over email, phone, texting. So lots of different ways for peer mentors to get our new students engaged. Our multicultural student centers have a long, extensive history of creating support networks and community across campus. These units stand ready to welcome you to campus, whether you're ready to walk through their doors or engaging with them in a virtual option, such as the Virtual Student Union, which was mentioned already. And finally, UWM students have a wealth of opportunities to engage through experiential learning, be it undergraduate research, service learning, internships. All of these opportunities still exist for students, and we really look forward to you taking advantage of those. So while we know that things are uncertain for our immediate future, UWM is really looking at this through the long view as we're planning for fall, looking further ahead than that to make sure that you have an outstanding experience. We want to make sure that you're able to continue having great experiences both inside and outside of the classroom, which is why we're looking at all sorts of different flexible scenarios to make sure that you're accessing things that are both convenient to you as well as are comfortable to you depending on the delivery method. So with that, I look forward to addressing the questions that will be coming in, and I'll turn it back over to Chancellor Mone.
Okay, thank you so much. I think what you've outlined reminds me of two different really important elements. One is you kind of walk through some of the different areas of support, the types of things that from a sequential perspective students can anticipate and when those would be anticipated for family support and others to know about what their students will be entering as they consider coming to UWM late this summer and early in the fall. The second area, as I reflect on what you've just said, probably speaks to why we have 190,000 successful alumni. People who stay in Wisconsin, they stay throughout the Midwest, but they've also gone abroad and done so many different things. So many of our notable alumni, people who've gone on to win, Academy Awards like Jim Rigel for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. People who've gone on to become the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella. Individuals who have gone on to become the first admiral, female admiral in the U.S. Navy. I could just go on and on and on, but I think a lot of it is because of the types of tools and what you just described. So next we're going to hear from Adam Jussel. And Adam is the Dean of Students. Now, a lot of times, many of you might not know, what does a chancellor do? What does a provost do? There should be no question about what the Dean of Students does. The Dean of Students is really your go-to. And I could just say everything that you might need, but let me give you some examples. If you have questions about student life, around different clubs, the dozens, actually scores of different types of activities that students can become involved with, the Dean of Students would be one place to go. If you're having questions about financial aid or residential areas or some conflict that you're having on campus, or you're not sure about what advisors to use, how about employment and internships? The Dean of Students office serves as a concierge and can really help you with identifying what are the great resources on campus. They should also be seen as the office that is really your best friend and support for so many different things on our campus. So with that background, I turn it over to our Dean of Students, Adam Jussel. Adam?
Thank you, Chancellor Mone, and good evening, folks. That was a great introduction, and so kind of gutted out a little bit of my intro of what I do, but I'll do the best I can to backfill a little bit for everybody. So you might ask yourself, again, what would I go to the Dean of Students for? What's Adam there for? What's his office there for? it's really a place where you can go when you don't know where to go. And I think that's the best description I've heard about our office. Sometimes when you get into college, there's a lot of challenges that you face just in navigating the system or getting through various processes and you don't know where to go and want some help. We're a good place to start, and we can connect you with the various resources that you may need. Some examples of that is we help students with their basic needs, whether it be a financial emergency or food insecurities. We also help students navigate various conflicts that they may have on campus or concerns. So it's just kind of at least a first stop with regards to where to go. So some other things I wanted to describe as we move into this virtual hybrid space. UWM has really been creative in responding to the various needs of students. And some examples of that, and I think this is just really innovative work, and it shows how much we care for students. Our UWM food pantry continues to operate. It does drive-through services every week, serving over 180 students and community members that have food insecurities. I also just heard this week that the UWM campus gardens are working to supply the food pantry with fruits and vegetables to the extent that they can grow them in those spaces. So we continue to be innovative in this environment, and I think it really that shows the ethos of care. In our office, we get a lot of questions about financial emergencies, so I think it's important for y'all to know what we dedicated to that type of work. Since March, we have awarded over 180 emergency grants to students, totaling over $120,000. Again, just helping students meet their very basic needs and stay enrolled at UWM. That's our goal, is that people have what they need to be enrolled and successful. In addition, we've awarded over 8,200, federal Stimulus Care Act grants, again, to support students through this challenging situation. And finally, we put over 300 laptops at low cost or by loan in students' hands when students had a need. Obviously, this was an emergency situation, but this is an example of something that we've really found great value in, our students find great value, and we will look to continue that in the future. We also recognize that there's a lot of questions. We know we've seen the questions about community and what will the experience be like. Kay and Dave both mentioned the Virtual Student Union. Now you might ask yourself, what is the Virtual Student Union? This is an online portal where you can connect with the various communities and spaces that you would normally connect in an in-person space. And this has been incredibly successful. Our students find this really valuable. So you might go into that space to connect to other students through discussion boards and social media. You might also go into that space to get a question answered by the LGBTQ+ Center or one of the various other resources in that space. It's really broad and connects to every area across the campus. In addition, we've done various things, like University Recreation has done virtual live online classes, running challenges, and we continue to hold various online events, including weekly trivia, volunteer and service learning opportunities. So we're really taking this as an option and an opportunity to figure out what's the best way to serve students. And we've been really creative in doing so and meeting that needs, but I will tell you that the work doesn't stop here. We continue to figure out how to make those resources better. And one final question, I know there's a lot of questions about housing. What is the planning as it relates to housing? Is housing going to be open? And I'm happy to answer those questions, and we'll continue to do so in the Q&A. But just know that we have several contingency plans in place that are informed by public health guidelines that include everything in the various hybrid models that we've been discussing, both Kay and Dave discussed earlier. We are considering various, with the focus being on health and safety, things to keep students safe, including social distancing. And I think it's just really important to know that while no final decision has been made there are groups of experts that are working on that in order to get the best answer for our students. And so with that, I would be remiss without saying we have an amazing team of folks here that really care about students. The Chancellor mentioned an ethos of care here, and that's something that in my time here is almost incumbent on everybody that works here, is the care for students first. So just know that when you come here, when you engage with us, and when you become a Panther, you're going to have a team to support you through this process. So really looking forward to meeting you all, however that is. And with that, I'll throw it back to the Chancellor.
Well, wonderful, Adam. That was great. You really brought to life when I said everything that the Dean of Students Office is responsible for. You filled it in really, really well. So thank you for that, and thank you for all the support that you provide for our students and their families. So at this point, what we'd like to do is get to the Q&A portion. So we have, as I anticipated, more than half our time available for the questions and answers to those. As I mentioned earlier, in addition to the panelists from whom you've just heard, we will be joined by our Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Johannes Britz, our Campus Health Officer, Dr. Julie Bonner, and our Financial Aid Director, Tim Opgenorth. So we'll direct your questions as we go to the person who can best answer them. Let's go ahead and get started. The first question is for me to be backed as needed by our provost. Daniel from Oshkosh asks, is there a date by when there will be a decision made about whether classes, in a clip to read this, about whether classes will be online or not? If there is a tentative date, what is it? Most directly, I will tell you, we're planning on having a decision made that we can announce no later than mid-June. We have a number of different scenario planning groups that are working on this right now. We also have a number of different health authorities, both on campus and those with whom we're working in the different municipalities that I described earlier. And we will do, we'll make this decision in the safest way possible. But that's our plan right now, is to have that decision made in mid-June. There's a lot of factors involved, and we look forward to being able to announce that. Provost Britz, anything you could add to that, please?
Chancellor Mone, thank you very much. And I just also want to welcome all the parents and the prospective students. It's a wonderful campus. It's a wonderful experience. It's a very difficult situation we're in. And as Dave Clark, our Vice Provost, said, we want to do the best for your safety, but also to have still a campus experience. And Chancellor Mone, I think you answered it perfectly. We work as hard as we can. We try to get all the variables available to make a better informed decision as we move on. And we will indeed make that decision in the mid of June. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost.
Everyone. So the next question comes to us and reads, where are some financial resources that I can find to buy a laptop? That's an excellent question. We know that regardless of delivery, students are going to want and need some access to some level of technology. Well, I'm happy to report that with the situation under COVID, UWM was able to do its very best to find and help students find some low cost and loaner laptops. All of that is running through, and the distributions are through the UWM Food Center and Pantry that Adam already mentioned. So we know that there will be a great amount of need out there. So UWM and the development team is continuing to work on that. I will also say that UWM's tech store has a lot of great resources at relatively affordable prices. So if folks do have the need for purchasing a laptop with a little bit of funding, that may also be a good option for you. Adam, anything else you want to add in that area?
Thanks, Kay. Just two quick things. First is UWM Surplus is a campus partner that we've been working really closely with. This is an office that takes UWM technology and then repurposes it for people to purchase at low cost. And so that is actually how we've been working with another campus partner creatively to get laptops in the hands of students. So just know that when you come and again, you don't know where to go, you can always connect with us and we can workshop with you various ideas. And we can also connect you with community partners. We have many community partners as well. We can help solve those various needs. So if the surplus doesn't have something or the tech store, or that's not an option for you, we will figure out ways to problem solve with you.
All right, next up, Rebecca from West Allis has this great question. Thank you for asking this. How does UWM plan on trying to make incoming freshmen feel like they are a part of the college community? Absolutely love this. So enrolling in any institution is certainly about the class, but it's or the courses that you're taking and the degree you're earning, but it's also about the connections and the community that you're feeling. So we are spending a lot of time thinking through this. So you've already heard us mention some of the different areas. So the virtual student union has been mentioned. That will be one of the ways we do this. Engaging with any number of our resource areas, be it one of our multicultural centers, be it an affinity group, being it a student organization. So all of those opportunities will still be available virtually. I also am really excited that we are nearing new student orientation season. That is the time when students are really able to start making some connections. Even though this will be a virtual experience, there are some breakout sessions designed for students to start connecting with peers. And then our welcome experience right at the start of the fall semester is still shaping out, but one of the main priorities there is helping students to start finding some connections, start meeting peers, because that is such an impactful part of going to college. Adam, is there anything else you would like to add from the student affairs side regarding community building?
Thanks, Kay. Another thing, I know I mentioned some of the various online programs that we are considering. I think one thing is to know that we start with students. We go out and we connect with students and figuring out what do they want, what do they need, and we hear a variety of things, but oftentimes we want a sense of community with our peers. We want to connect with our peers and other students. So we provide the toolbox for that. And the Virtual Student Union really is a great example of that. That's a place where you can engage with those students, other students in a virtual space. The other example is our student involvement team is just doing a fantastic job. If you don't follow them on the various social media platforms, they're doing a lot of competitions and challenges. Again, that's another thing that students have told us is a way of engaging is doing various Instagram challenges or anything like that. They're also, like I mentioned before, doing virtual programming. So continuing to engage with student organizations and providing guidance to student organizations so they can take their programs online is really important. We know we have a lot of students that engage in student organizations, so those options all still exist and in some regards are different but better. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of those things before we take on the next question. And that actually is for me, is would UWM waive the freshman year on campus housing requirement if students wanted to live off campus due to the COVID-19 concerns? And that's from Pam. Yes, Pam, the freshman live-on requirement is waived for fall 2020. We do recognize that there is a possibility that we won't be able to house all the students that have applied for housing and have contracts. So we have waived that requirement. And if we get to a space where we can't house your specific student or you, we will work with you to find suitable off-campus housing.
Julie, you're muted.
Let's try that again. Good afternoon and evening to everybody. There was a great question from Dale of Naperville, a question that I am asking myself as I have a son who's graduating as a senior this year and moving on to that next stage of his life on a college campus. And the question is the health service and our area hospitals prepared for treating both COVID and non-COVID patients? That's the first part of the question. So some of the best information about our health center is available on our website. And I'm just going to highlight several different things related to our health center and the way our operation works. We really have, and I've been the director of the health center and the campus health officer for the past 15 years. We work with students, and about 75% of students at some point when they're a community member access our services. And so we provide a variety of care for acute illnesses and injuries, as well as a lot of preventative care. And when it's come to our experience this past semester related to COVID-19, we have followed all of the guidelines related to healthcare facilities and outpatient facilities, and have very successfully transitioned to telehealth, as well as a combination of in-person services. And we've utilized our lab and our on-site dispensary and have been able to continue to serve students. We recently just did a student survey because we wanted to make sure, and that's how we get some of our best information, is by asking students how we're doing. And so we asked how we were doing related to our transition to telehealth and related to COVID-19. And I'm happy to report that they all reported very good or excellent, and that we had really met and exceeded expectations during COVID-19. We're also planning and looking ahead for our services over the summer and the fall, and I encourage everybody to look on our website for additional information. Our services do include counseling and mental health, which is an important service to really consider and think about, because with our experiences in our communities and on an individual basis, we are always readily accessible and prepared to help students. But we also are really proactively, as we've converted that to telehealth as well, are very sensitive to the fact that there are a lot of complexities now in the transition to a college campus in a student's life. So we're ready for that as well. As related to the area hospitals, I'm on a weekly call with our Southeast Healthcare Emergency Readiness Coalition. And so I really do get that insight that our hospitals are very well prepared as well in terms of treating COVID-19, as well as if there was a need in addition to COVID-19 during the time that your student is in the Milwaukee community. There was a part 2 of that question, which is how is the bus system adapting to the virus and social distancing? And that's also a really important question, because transportation and getting from point A to point B is something that is an important part of the equation when a community is looking at how to come together related to being prepared for COVID-19. So the buses have implemented both our City of Milwaukee buses and our transportation and our transit system, as well as our own transit system, a lot of different cleaning and disinfection sort of guidelines, and they've adapted to that for COVID-19 and stayed very up to date. As well as mechanically, they've changed how people enter the bus and depart the bus, as well as they pay for the bus as well, which is for our transit system. So there have been a lot of adaptations within our community related to the bus system, and they're all really working together in terms of providing a healthy and safe environment currently and in the fall.
Imtiaz Aljara, a graduate student. I'm an international student. Our government may prefer in-person classes instead of online. If you plan to defer such students, please consider deferment for fall semester, not for the entire next year. This is a sticky question. Deferrals can be complicated, especially for international graduate students. For graduate students who wish to defer, they should be in touch with their departments. International students, you need to talk to the Center for International Education. If you have any difficulty, Imtiaz, finding the right person, write to me personally. I will find them. That is Dave Clark at dclark@uwm.edu.
All right, our next question comes from Kay Eilers from Mequon. It reads, my son is an accepted student and plans to begin at UW-Milwaukee's main campus this fall. How will I know how he's doing in school, grades, etc.? He just turned 18, so I'm assuming there must be a form that he signs giving me permission. Thank you so much for raising this question. There are a couple of specific details that I'll provide, and then just some general oversight, and perhaps Adam may have some perspective from the Dean of Students as well. In terms of process, you can go to our registrar's website and do one of two things. You can either work with your student to fill out a FERPA form, which your student would need to fill fill out to then grant you access to whichever elements of the student's record that you're looking for. Or you could work with your student for them to grant you a designee access to their PAWS account. So PAWS is the student information system where the student will see their bill, where they'll see their grades, etc. So the student will actually need to create a designee account for you, and then they will grant you permission. This actually raises a number of topics that come up often during new student orientation. So I'm glad you're here and thinking about it. Right now is a great time to actually start a conversation with your students before they start college, to think through how you and your student might be communicating about how things are going. Oftentimes you'll get the response of, it's fine. But if you dig a little bit deeper and kind of start laying out a regular time to check in about how things are going in school with their classes, it might help. And I'll provide a little tip there for families and for students out there. UWM every semester runs a progress report campaign. We know when students are new to the college environment, sometimes it's a little tricky to know exactly how you're doing in class. In high school, if you were getting regular updates throughout the course of any given class, you have a good sense of where your grade sits. But in college, you might have less of an idea. So we've implemented progress reports early in each semester, so instructors will provide you that update. So students, you can be on the lookout for those, and families, you know they're coming. So that's a great time to start that conversation. With regard to gaining access to accounts, I want to make sure I don't limit it only to grades and academic performance. So Adam, is there anything else you'd like to answer from the Dean of Students perspective?
Sure, thanks, Kay, and thanks for the question, Kay. From my office's perspective, just know that when you fill out that form, if you choose to fill out that form with your student, it does allow for various level of access to different information. But know that in general, the university won't affirmatively reach out to you to provide that information. So that oftentimes is a question that we get from our parent panels is, why am I not getting a report at the end of every semester about my student is doing in classes? And what's really important is we're trying to empower students to engage with us in the way that's best for them. We found that to be really valuable in the process, but also one thing you can really do to help support that in caring for your student is always ask them if they have questions or concerns. Have you connected to the Dean of Students? You should really go connect with the Dean of Students, because then what that helps us do is engage with them in a supportive way that is dovetailed by your support. If you have questions just generally and broadly about processes, just want to know what's the process for this, how do I file a tuition and fee appeal, how do I file a grade appeal, we can answer those questions all the time. So feel free to ask broad general questions, and you can reach out to us and our email, since Dave get out an email, so it's dos@uwm.edu, and we'll make sure to get back to you with that information.
Hi there. Hi again. Does UWM intend to fully reopen for the traditional college experience, or will there be an adjustment reduction in cost for online learning? I think that, it's fair to say we intend to open every bit as much as we can safely and responsibly, following public health guidelines. It's certainly our wish and our intention to have a full experience, but we have to be cautious at the same time. So we're planning for multiple kinds of scenarios and for flexibility to both provide the best educational experience that we can, and also make students feel comfortable and safe, because as we know, some of our students really want to go whole hog, want a face-to-face experience, and some of our students are a little more cautious, or they have good reasons to be wanting to stay at home. And so we're going to be working towards providing a creative balance to do the best that we can to serve all of those different constituencies. Will there be an adjustment reduction in cost for online learning? I would expect that tuition will certainly not increase. It will remain the same as it has been for the last 10 years or so. We are taking a look at the fees that are affiliated with various campus activities.
So thank you, Dave. I have also, I thought, a very good and interesting question about online teaching and how are we prepared for the fall semester. The question reads, I understand that the lockdowns this spring were not expected and was quickly implemented. And the teachers, as well as the administration, have the summer months to prepare for the possibility of teaching online courses, either fully or partially, for the coming year. And then the question, anonymous, came and said, what are the teachers doing to prepare for this possibility? And secondly, how can administration check that the teachers are ready and to monitor students remotely should classes have to go remote again? Thank you for the question. I have like 4 short comments. Firstly, when we talk about online instruction, and our tradition, as our Vice Provost Dave Clark earlier mentioned, we actually have a very long-standing tradition on teaching online for more than 20 years. We have received a number of awards for the classes that we did teach online. And in spring, in March, when we had to make the change, if you recall, like in the 11th of March, we already had more than 11,000 students taking some or other form of online instruction on our campus. And within the 2-week session, as the person correctly pointed out, we had to make an additional adjustment to actually flip an additional 6,000 courses online for the rest of the semester. So it was done as an emergency. And since then, we actually rolled out, and that's my second comment, through our Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, development courses for our instructors, faculty, academic and staff, teaching assistants, everybody, to really continue to invest in the professional development of our instructors. Those who need it, and actually those who has never taught online, we gave them that opportunity starting fall right through the summer semester. And as the question correctly pointed out, we don't know exactly how the fall semester will turn out, but we need to do contingency planning. Should it happen that we have to continue online, we will be prepared. In terms of oversight and feedback from the students, as a new student coming in, I would absolutely encourage you to keep in touch with your advisor, with your instructor, with your teaching assistant, whoever is with you in the class, be it remote or on site. And should it be difficult for you, or if you have problems with the instruction, please contact them. And if you do not find a proper solution or answer to your question, you're always free to reach out to a head of a department, to the dean of the school or the college, to the dean of students. I would even encourage, you can even email me. I just followed up today with a student who had some reflection on her experience over the summer, over the spring semester. I followed up. How can we improve that? Feedback is extremely important for us. So for me and for us as a campus, it is very, very important, the quality of instruction, but also that you must feel and should feel comfortable to give the feedback. And then lastly, I would just say the oversight for faculty, for instructors, it's done within a department. There's peer review, feedback from other faculty, the feedback that they get, and also the way a faculty member or instructor conduct their teaching counts also towards performance evaluation. So we value that very highly. It's a very high priority. So very good question. Thank you. Mark, I think over to the next question.
I think the next question is for me, and the question is, with all the COVID-19 restrictions, my student is still not allowed into the clinic for her physical or for her vaccines until further notice. How will this affect her application for housing? The short answer is it won't. And the longer answer is, first, I appreciate you thinking not only about your own students' health, but the health and safety of others in the residential facilities. It's really important. So it's not a requirement to have vaccinations to live in university housing. However, we strongly encourage meningitis and hepatitis B vaccinations. The only thing we ask is that you let us know what those vaccinations are. What that does help is that helps us proactively engage when there's an illness on campus. So that's the only requirement, but not having those vaccinations will not affect your student's application for housing.
All right, so the next question is, I have applied to UWM for the early college credit program to earn college credit while still in high school. Am I most likely to get accepted, being that I'm a senior in high school? I am doing a program called the 5th year, where instead of graduating from high school right away, I stay at my high school to earn more or gain credits I missed while getting prepared to enter college. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that we've got some folks who are engaging in the early college credit program as well. So participating in the program does go into the decision-making process from our admissions office. So we will look at the rigor of your classes that you took in high school and certainly take that into consideration when you are applying, and we're assessing if you are ready and admissible to UWM. Just a little bit of background in case there's anybody out there who's a rising senior considering this. Any high school student can participate in this program as long as they meet the GPA requirements, and they would be taking a course with us that is not currently offered at their high school. So if this is something that you have more interest in, check us out online. We would be more than happy to work with you. We have a dedicated office that is working specifically on early college credit. Chancellor Mone, not sure if there's anything else you would like to add in this space.
Thank you, Kay. I think your answer was spot on, but I would like to add 3 really important elements, all encouraging you as a student to take early college credits while you're still in high school. Number 1, it shows that you can do it. You can achieve college credit, which builds confidence. Number 2, it's going to save you money, because the more credits you achieve before you get to college, it's going to reduce the cost of courses you still need to take. And of course, all that goes hand in hand with number 3, which is it's going to accelerate, help move you along to get you graduated more quickly. So for all those reasons, I really commend and congratulate you for taking those credits on while you're still in high school. And I encourage everybody to do that. Thank you, Kay.
Okay, the next question is from Kay from Mequon. My son is an accepted student and plans to begin at UW-M's Milwaukee campus this fall. That is great. He will be living at home. Will he have access to the health center? And then the part 2, is there a student health insurance plan he can join? So that's a great question. Every single student does have access to the health center. And as I said before, we really find that students, because we're very convenient and we're very low cost. So part of the student segregated fees does cover some basic services at the health center, because we realize and really work hard to reduce any barrier for a student accessing care when they need to. We realize that this is a transition in many ways, and it includes a transition often to them independently navigating a healthcare system. So we are a small outpatient community clinic is how I would describe us. And my team of professionals, which are family practitioners, general internists, nurse practitioners, health educators, public health professionals, our counseling team, are all very much focused on what they can do to recognize what a student needs, not only as related to their health, but in the context of also their studies and their student success. So all students who are part of our group that pay student segregated fees have access. The second part about, is there a student health insurance plan he can join? We actually currently don't offer a student health insurance plan, but it allows me to just talk for a minute and recognize that it's a really complex time, I appreciate, in terms of an individual's access to health insurance. And while we have limits to the scope of our clinic, we talked about hospitals, which again, we hope is not something that a student would need during their time here. But most commonly, we see individuals that might need to get their appendix out. That's one of the most common reasons why we end up needing to send somebody to a hospital after we've evaluated them. And so we do have a case manager on our team that can help if health insurance is an issue. And then last but not least, because we talked about vaccinations earlier, I do have to put a plug in for individuals strongly recommending influenza vaccination this year. It is not a requirement at our institution, but we partner with our College of Nursing and we put on large scale flu clinics because I think it's really important for us to prevent the diseases where there is a vaccine available to us at this time. And certainly during this time when COVID-19 is present. So thank you so much.
I think the next question, I'll go ahead and take the next one. Let me get to this. The question is from Pam Whitefield from Rochester, Minnesota. And the question reads as follows. Is UWM considering a fall schedule that starts 1 to 2 weeks early in August, skips fall break, and ends at Thanksgiving? This option is on the table at many colleges now as a way to have a fall term, minimize travel during the semester, and give a 7-week break between semesters for things to calm down virus-wise. It helps prepare also for possible second wave of infections. Pam, this is a really important question, and it is very much something that we're considering. Starting early is being evaluated on a number of different fronts. And even if we do not start early, we do very much have in mind the possibility of stopping prior to Thanksgiving. Now, we do not have a fall break like some campuses do. Our fall break would be the so-called Thanksgiving 4 days or so, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we would probably, if we go down that path, convert to online learning at that point to finish the semester off. And then we typically start late in January. So we'll see how things are at, of course, following the health guidance at the time and what the experience is in the fall. But that is a very smart model in many ways. And as I mentioned earlier, we're doing a lot of scenario planning, and we'll get further information, which we'll be able to communicate by mid-June at the latest. I know our provost is very close to a lot of the planning, and he or our vice provost may have thoughts on that. First, Provost Britz.
Thank you, Chancellor Mone. I think you're right. That is how we will plan this out. In terms of the scenario planning, I know they are doing a very diligent job. It's under leadership of our Dean of Letters and Sciences, Dean Scott Grinner, to really look at all the variables. And I know Dave Clark is actually on the committee. So Dave, if I can ask you just to pop in a little bit and just expand a little bit on what we planned for the semester.
Absolutely. We're quite convinced that what we don't have is certainty. We can't know for sure how if there's going to be a second outbreak, what might happen, what the public health situation will be in the fall. So we're building the flexibility into the way that we think about our curriculum and the way that we think about our pedagogy. So we're making sure that our instructors are well prepared for various contingencies. We will be as face-to-face as we can be, as safely as we can be, for as long as we can be. And we hope that that's the entire semester, and that this will and that we'll have a very normal experience. If we can't, we'll be prepared, and we'll be able to move quickly and efficiently and still provide an excellent educational experience.
This question, sorry about that, y'all. This question is, will there be some sort of waiver for students to live off campus rather than in the dorms? And the answer, just simply because we're short on time, is yes. The fall 2020 on-campus living requirement has been waived.
Well, here we are. It's 6 o'clock if you're on Central Time, And I understand some of you might be earlier or later, so I want to acknowledge that you might be in a different time zone. But we're thrilled to have you participate today. We still have about 400 participants, so it's wonderful to hear the interest. And I want to restate a couple things and point out a few things, and then talk about the follow-up. First, I hope you heard the care, the empathy, and all the things that we're doing to create that culture of support for you and or your students if you're a family member. I want you to know I've got a long time on this campus. In fact, this is my 31st year, and I'm really proud of what we do. And I'm very fortunate to be able to visit with alumni around the country and often from international locations. They all look back at their time at UW-Milwaukee as one of the most important inflection points, one of the most important learning experiences they have in so many different ways. And I think it's important to reflect on the quality of the faculty, but also the Milwaukee experience, what you get here in terms of the internships, in terms of the practicum, in terms of the ability to interact in a great city, one that has a beach, one that has all the major sports, one that has music, arts, so many different cultural attractions. It's a thriving place to be. And I want you to know that while COVID-19 is an experience that none of us planned for, none of us wanted, it's not going to define us. In fact, we'll persevere through. And what's going to define us is what we become and what we experience together, and ultimately what we accomplish. That's what's so important, and I want to stress and recognize that. I would be remiss, I think, if I didn't talk about the success factors that go in so many different ways, and that's what you've been hearing over the last half an hour to 40 minutes of the questions that we've tried to answer. I want to also mention in terms of next steps that there's a playback of this meeting that will be available if you only heard the last end and you want to hear the front part, or vice versa. And please share with family and friends that this meeting will be available at my website, which is uwm.edu/chancellor. Once again, uwm.edu/chancellor. And you can also just use the link that got you to this meeting, and that will be available probably sometime tomorrow, both on my website and on this link that you used to tie into this meeting. The FAQs that I referred to earlier will be at uwm.edu/coronavirus, and we'll be adding additional questions based on the questions that you've asked and our answers here today. So with that, I want to close this meeting and thank you once again for your interest in UWM. You know that you have a home here, and you know that we welcome you, and we think this is the greatest place in terms of the value and the experience, quality of outcomes. Thanks once again. I look forward to seeing you on campus and in other ways throughout the rest of your time here at UWM. Go Panthers!